Welcome back, you all, with a part two. I'm here with Mr. Brandon Rodgers. He was on the podcast previously. Uh, we were discussing, various topics, wrestling, cerebral palsy. We also touched on his own podcast, Cerebral Conversations, which he just currently started as well. And today we're gonna delve into uh, other different topics of discussion, such as anime and financial literacy and disabilities. So, Brandon, welcome back on, brother.
Thank you again, and thank you for the beautiful intro, and thank you again for having me on. And
Yeah, of
again,
course.
like I always say on my podcast, thank you to Deja Bacon, my friend's fiance, my future sister-in-law, for giving me the title. I really, really appreciate that. And I will say that every time I'm on a podcast and I mention my podcast, I'll always bring up that she helped me with the title. So.
Hey, that's it's always good. I'll credit to those that help you too. You aren't who you are, or your podcast isn't what it is, uh, without those individuals or those experiences that you had. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So, outside of the podcast, we were kind of talking about financial literacy and disabilities. Can you elaborate more on that and what exactly you wanted to kind of talk about?
Yeah, so what I wanted to touch on pretty much was because I was like, I've always thought about it, but just like throughout the past couple weeks, I've been thinking about it more. And basically, what it is I wanted to kind of touch on how us with disabilities or conditions, if you want to say quote unquote, we think just because we have disabilities that financially, I'm not gonna speak for everyone. Well, I don't want to speak for everyone, but it's gonna come off that way, and I don't want to, you know, I'm
Of
gonna,
course.
I don't want to ruffle any. I'm trying to say this in a way to where I don't sound like an
Right.
asshole,
Right.
but I kind of feel like even though we have disabilities, there are a bunch of us who have disabilities that are able to do more financially as far as working and stuff. Now I know everybody's different, but it's kind of like I don't want people to feel like they're kind of like stuck in this box of, oh, I'm receiving, financial benefits from this place, so I have to just receive those type of thing. I don't know if
Right.
I'm
Right.
explaining that right or going in depth the way I want to, but
I mean, it sounds like from what you're saying is, and you're of course you're trying to put it as nicely and as as soft spoken as possible. Of course, there's millions of people that live with Social Security and benefits, and everybody in our community has a different mindset on you know how much they could do and how much they can earn. As you know, if you're a Social Security beneficiary, you have a certain limit that you can make until they either cut you off or they reduce it. Sometimes for some people, the best way to make your maximum benefit or to be able to be comfortably to be comfortable financially is to not really work. However, there are things you could do that won't limit, you from working. I mean, I've seen people that are self-employed that are on disability and they can still work. It's just they can't make, a certain amount, or, they have a job but they can only work part-time, and they can still work. And then there's those that their disability could be so severe that the only thing that could they can rely on is disability, and that I completely understand.
yeah, and and believe me when and don't and for people that will see this, I don't want people to think, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying, like, oh, all people with disabilities shouldn't, have have benefits or should want to work. If yeah, if your disability is severe, I'm not saying, oh, like, after after benefits and after benefits and go get a job, like, because you physically or mentally can't. That what I'm saying is for, like, the people who have disabilities that aren't as severe, and want to work, but they feel like they can't because they don't want to lose their benefits. I don't want you to feel like you're kind of tethered. I don't want you to feel like your options are limited.
Right, right.
Is basically what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody everybody has a certain threshold and a certain limit, and some people might even be tired of making just disability benefits, and they just want to like make enough to where they're like, I don't need to rely on this anymore. I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with what I'm
Yeah,
making from the job.
yeah, and those are kind of the people that I wanna, I kind of want to reach, because it's like, because for me, I no longer get I no longer get disability benefits because well, first it was, well, mainly because I had too much saved. I
You're
had
over
too
the
much saved,
threshold,
and yeah,
is what you're saying.
I was way over the threshold. I was way over the threshold, and that ended up getting cut. But then, and at first I was kind of, annoyed. I was getting, I got the letter that probably most of us got. Oh, you're over the threshold, so you owe us X amount of dollars. But
But
after a
of
while, it was kind of like, I I mean, I mean, obviously I still have to pay the money back or whatever. But after a while, it was kind of like, I'm making X amount of dollars here. Yeah, it would be helpful to have that, but at the same time, I didn't want to feel trapped, in a sense. I didn't want to limit my opportunities. So
right, and of course, there's a reason why disability benefits exist. Like, for example, like, and of course, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but if you fall into a situation where financially you get worse than what you are, or you lose your job and you need some form of income, that's always going to be there for you. You'll
yeah,
have something, at least have something while you get back up on your feet.
yeah, yeah,
And that's uh that's why some people are grateful to have that asset. Not many people have it, but it's great to have just in case.
yeah. And I don't want to make it seem like, oh, he's being ungrateful because he's being ungrateful because he's trying to tell people not to get disability benefit. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I was completely grateful to have it, but after a while, it was kind of like, to do the things I need. I mean, in order for me to do the things that I want to do, and build, like, especially for someone who wants to build a business and wants to build other things, I kind of after a while, it kind of feels like it was trapping me, in a sense, to where it was like, oh, I could do this, but I don't. But should I really do this? Because I don't want to lose out. I don't want to lose out on this type of
Right,
thing.
and
So it's
and there's always a thing called budgeting. You might be on disability, you might be on all these types of benefits, but you can still achieve your goals and be successful, but you have to be mindful of how much you spend and what you spend it on, money wise.
yeah, yeah.
It's and disability is not a bad thing. It's necessarily not a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's only bad if you let it be.
yeah. And I think for me, and I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I know, but I don't want to say I know, but I know there's probably, again, I keep saying I know that But for me and probably a couple others, we kind of like let it let it kind of dictate our lives in a sense, to where we don't we don't look forward or have any other aspirations, because it's like, oh, if I try and do this, well, I can't. Well, basically I can't do what I want to do without having to constantly worry about that type of thing.
Yeah,
And
and
for a while, I felt like I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do because I was constantly worrying about, well, if I
right,
do this, I'll end up making too much, and then this, and this, and then there's this limit. But then, am I really living? If I'm only making this amount, can I eventually get a car? Can I eventually get a house and all this other sort of stuff? So
right.
at least
I
that's
get
how it was for me, though.
right, and I get you might feel concerned or everything about a lot of the expenses, how much you spend, and whether or not you'll lose disability. And like I said previously, even though you'll lose it, it'll always still be available in case, like I said, that moment where you start struggling, you get really sick, you lose your job. You can always fall back on it just in case until you get back up on your feet.
Mhm. So so I know this is your podcast, and you're supposed to be and you're supposed to be asking me the questions. But one question I wanted to ask you was, what advice would you have for people with cerebral palsy that wanted to start a business, or move forward, and probably want to make extra income doing something that they love, or something that they're possibly interested in?
Well, the key is sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. Always
Hmm.
build on establishing those relationships, those friendships and connections, because those are the main path, or one of the main paths to opening up doors for those goals that you want to reach. Those accomplishments. So always be mindful and be cordial of who you speak with and who you get to know, and you know keep in touch with them.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure,
yeah, I mean,
for sure.
once you get that established, fully, a lot of things for you become a lot easier.
Hmm. And for people that are watching, please take that into account, because I can't tell you how many times, just because of people I met, whether it be at the gym, or at places that I frequent, and little opportunities that come up. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this before on your podcast last time, or when you were on mine, but I ended up meeting a friend of mine, Ed Canatelli, at the gym. Come to find out, he owns his own. He's an independent contractor, and he builds houses. He recently built his own house, and we became such good friends that when I told him I was looking for a car, he's like, "Oh, I know one of the owners over at Ed Morse. Whenever you're ready to get a car, just let me know, and I'll get you in contact with him." And I was like, "Wow!"
Yeah,
And
that's how
that's all just from meeting somebody at the gym.
that's how it is. You become cordial, and the word of mouth also helps. Who you talk to in the gym, school, out in public, anywhere. Um, you never know. You never know who you're
Yeah.
gonna meet. You never know who you'll be faced with. So that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. You mentioned a little bit about things that people could do. You mentioned anime for one of the topics.
I did. I did. I did. So the reason I brought that up is because I don't know if you ended up seeing the text message I sent you the other day. where um because one of the things was I wanted to kind of speak on, how anime can help anime, or whether it be anime, cartoons, or any type of programming we could do. And I wanted to talk about how that could kind of motivate people in general.
Oh yeah, I mean, any there are tons of anime shows and uh, just different characters in general that can motivate people. You know, just like there's out there like we go back in time to Popeye to now these a lot of these Marvel and DC movies and series that are coming out. Some of the characters are could be heroes or could be the anti-hero or the anti-villain, where they kind of fall in borderline of being a hero and being a villain, but they're not necessarily there yet. But then people
Hmm.
kind of find themselves relating to them in a sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, so I wanted to know, like, are there any specific characters? Are there any specific characters in any type of media that have like helped motivate you, or like when you see it, it's like, oh, I relate to this. So it's so like going through that kind of watching that character go through that doesn't make you feel as kind of alone in a sense.
I would say the first one would be the Flash because he's always there for everybody, and he goes as quick as possible to help people, and he doesn't
Hmm.
give up. And then I don't know if you've watched the movie Real Steel.
Oh
There's
yes,
this
I have.
robot. There's this robot that this I forget the
Hmm.
name of the main character, the kid, but
I
he
forget.
comes up across this robot in a junkyard, and then he ends up rebuilding him, and he meets this guy, and this guy's a former boxer, and he becomes his coach.
Shout out Hugh Jackman, by the way.
Oh, that's who he is, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, yeah, Hugh Jackman. Yeah, Hugh Jackman's one of the main characters in the movie,
Yeah, he so
not the
now
robot.
now now I know who it is, Hugh Jackman. So I thought that was really cool because it taught you no matter how many times you get knocked down, you get beat up, you get back up, you keep going, and eventually you'll succeed. And sometimes
Hmm.
throughout those struggles, you may not win, but at the end of the day,
Yeah,
people will still see you as a champion, and
yeah, for sure.
that's what the movie kind of the plot or the story of the movie, the main theme was about is no matter how many times you get beat up, you get knocked down, um, you might end up facing adversity, and you might end up facing somebody bigger than you, and you might end up losing, but in the crowd's eyes or the people around you, they'll still see you as a champion. They'll still see
Hmm.
you as you did it, you accomplished something. There's no shame in losing.
Yeah, absolutely not. And Brent, and back to that, you brought up Real Steel. Um, I might have to bring up a boxing type of movie, and movies that I got really got interest into recently, like within the past like 3 4 years. I've really gotten into like the Creed movies, and watching the Creed movies has making me go back and watch the older Rocky movies, and it's kind of like watching Rocky and watching Creed like start from the bottom, then work their way
Right.
up, and then fall back down again, and then have to get back up, and all the trials and tribulations they go through. It it's really good to see.
Yeah,
It's really good
what I
to
like
see, and
about
some of it I relate to.
what I like about the Creed movies too is there's a disability representation. I don't know if you noticed that,
Y-
but in the last
Yeah,
like you have his girlfriend or his wife is deaf, and then the child his daughter learns sign language and they communicate in sign language, which is really
yeah.
cool. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Once I noticed, I was like, I was wondering, I was like, how's it gonna work? And then I was because once I found out was at the end of the second or during the second movie when you find out when they're doing the test to find out if his daughter is deaf. And then I was like, wait, if they do a third movie, how's the third movie gonna work? But then they had the subtitles on the screen and and everything. So
Yeah, there's a show called my sister used to watch it, or my sisters were fans of it. Switched at Birth, where there's a lot of sign language in that series, and it shows a lot of disability representation because they're not just casting normal people to do the sign language, but they're actually casting people that are actually deaf to do those parts, which is something that is lacking everywhere in the media.
yeah. And speak and again and going back to what you said about disability representation, I forget the name of the show, but my mom was watching it one day and she was like, "Brandon, come here. He's like you. He acts like you do." And I was like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And she was like, "Yeah, there's a show with this kid who has cerebral palsy, and I forget the name of it, but but it's about this kid who has cerebral palsy and him going through his day-to-day life. Obviously his cerebral palsy in the show is more severe than ours because he's in a wheelchair and doesn't
Right.
and isn't that verbal. But there were certain things that he did to where my mom pointed out, and I was kind of like, wait, I do, and because it's different when you see a disability through someone else's eyes since you're living through it, and when you see it for yourself, it's like, wait, I do that. You start noticing little things like, wait, I do that. Is that how I look? Is that how? So you start to notice and pick out little things.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is a lot of these shows remind some characters reminds us of ourselves, and it's
Hmm.
like, wait a minute, okay, so I don't feel so alone because this person who may be an actor or maybe somebody that has that particular disability or impediment makes me feel like comfortable about myself. I don't feel alone. I feel like I can be confident and really excel at what I want to do. If they can go out there and be actors or professional athletes or you know professional wrestlers for that matter, then I can do it too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And going back on the and to bring up another character that I wanted to bring up that can kind of like motivate people. Like recently they put I don't know if you've ever seen the anime before, but they recently put the anime Hajime no Ippo. They put the first season, the first 76 episodes. They recently put it on Netflix. And for people who haven't seen the anime, I'll just give a little rundown. It's about this kid named Ippo. He lives with his mom and he runs a they run a fishing business. And he, typical shonen anime protagonist, starts off as this very shy, very quiet kid who gets bullied. He ends up getting saved by this boxer, and then he ends up falling in sport with the love of boxing. But the one reason that I really really like to show, besides the action and stuff like that, there's one question that Ippo asked the professional boxer, and the question that he asks him is, "What does it mean to be strong?" And then it didn't. When I first saw it, I didn't really understand it. But as I'm starting to watch through it again, I'm like, I start asking myself that question because a lot of people that give their definition of being strong is being big and having muscles and stuff like that. But there can be a bunch of different interpretations of being strong. So That's one of the characters that I feel like can be a huge motivation for people. And I wanted to know what you think about that question, and how does it
I
make
thought
you feel?
I think it's a great question. I mean, everybody has their own different interpretation, meaning, or the way that they visualize what being strong means to them. I mean, they could be emotionally strong, they can be physically strong. Um, they can, you know, it really varies from person to person. Like I feel like I'm more mentally strong due to the fact that I've gone through a lot of experiences, not just in the disability community, but through teaching, mentoring, advocacy, and now in healthcare. You're required to be mentally strong every day because a lot of people count on you and need you for a lot of things, you know?
Hmm.
But of course, it's okay to seek out help or support if you need it. There's no shame in you being weak sometimes because weakness shows your character. It
Yes,
shows that
for
you're
sure.
human, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's one thing with I don't know if it's the same way for you, but I know that with me sometimes I let I let my pride get in the way sometimes, especially when it's something, that I may physically need help with. I because I don't know if it's the same way with you, but we try to be as independent as possible. And then even though we need help, our pride will get in the way and say, "No, I don't need help," and then we'd rather sit there and kind of struggle and kind of
Right.
self not self, like, what's the word, like, we
Gl-
put
gl- glor-
ourselves through struggles that we don't need to put ourselves through if we would just ask for
right.
help.
Glorify yourself or have a big ego. You know, and everybody is different. And of course, I would never. I'm not saying you have a big ego. You're just saying that sometimes you feel like you can do everything, that you're invincible. I feel that way too. I feel like I could do
Hmm.
everything in the world, but then I realize my body's saying no, and I need to ask for help when I need it. I don't know if you're the same way, but I definitely ask for help if I need it now. I don't go and try to do it myself because I know if I do it myself, I might miscalculate, and that's how injuries happen or how I mess something up.
Yeah, for sure. And I spoke about this on my friend Nick Earhart's podcast. If you haven't, I don't know if you've heard of him or seen his podcast before, but I definitely recommend giving it a watch and watching his content. My episode that I recorded with him's not coming out for a while because I found out I'm episode 16, so I gotta sit here and wait. But I but one thing I talked about with him is that sometimes I think we forget that we have cerebral palsy
Right.
until certain situations come up. Like there'll be some times at work where for like 2 3 months I'll be good doing something, and then out of nowhere I'll be walking with a bucket, and then I'll try and pick it up and walk back with it, and then when I can't, I get frustrated with myself because I'm like, damn, I was good for like these 3 4 months. Why is today out of all the days that my body wants to act up? And it's like, it, in my
Well,
mind, I get super frustrated because I hate asking for help, but I have to remember sometimes that people are that my coworkers are there to help whenever I
right.
need. So
I mean, if you're struggling and your coworkers and friends and family members understand, then they'll be there to help you no matter what, and they won't judge you because they realize you need help. You know,
yeah,
there's no shame in asking for help.
there definitely is. Just for me, I just feel like, damn, I pride myself on like wanting to do things by myself and not asking for help unless I need it. And like when my body ends up like kind of messing up like that, I'm like, damn, I've been working really hard in the gym so that doesn't happen. And then when it does happen, I get frustrated.
Yeah, sometimes it could be. I mean, as you know, we both have cerebral palsy, but there's something that we often struggle with, and that's the amount of energy we use to do a lot of things. And there's times where we have enough energy, and that we can take a good beating, as far as like being able to walk, jog, work out, do daily tasks, fine. And then there's some days where we wake up and our body's just like, you know what, we need an extra break and we need to take it. And when your body's giving out, that's a sign that, you know what, take it easy for the day. You know, try
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. And today was definitely one of those days because I was gonna go play basketball in the morning, but my foot was like, no. I tried to stand up and move. My foot was like, nope. You're sitting your ass right back down and you're chilling for today. So that's what I did for today.
Yeah, yeah. That's good too. Self care and taking care of yourself is always real important, especially when managing a physical disability.
So for people who are watching that have disabilities, take my advice. Don't overdo it. If you have massage stuff available, please use massage stuff. If you have a massage gun, always use the massage gun. If you have a massage chair, use the massage chair and stretch because you do not want to injure yourself.
And most importantly, two other things, like you mentioned prior, drink water, and also my advice is listen to your body. Listen to it. If for some reason something's off today, and you know you're not gonna have a good day physically, then don't do anything. Take it easy.
Yeah. Has there ever been times for you where you feel like everything feels good, and then out of nowhere your body will just be like nope, you'll like be in the middle of something, especially if it's like something important,
All the
and then
time.
your body
All
just
the
gives you
time.
that like well, not today. We were good for the first 2 hours, but this last hour is about to be a struggle. And it's like, oh, again,
All the time, and the key component to combating that too is rest. You know,
yes,
with us, if you don't get enough rest, your body's gonna act out even more. It's gonna feel worse. Like there's days where I wake up like I feel like I'm 40 instead of my actual age
yeah,
because my body's just banged up. But that's from years of working out. And I mean, I guess I get posted earlier. I've been working out for about 20 years, and my body, it could go through so much, and I'm always evolving, always figuring out ways to work out, always figuring out ways to limit the amount of exercise I do as far as weightlifting and things like that, and to avoid injury.
hmm yeah. Because there's days for me where like there'll be a day where I can go like there'll be like 2 or 3 months where I'm doing great. I'm lifting good. I'm running around playing basketball, and it's like that one specific day. It's like nope, you're gonna be 60 years old today, even though you just turned 30. And I'm like, why?
Yep,
Why?
it's the way sometimes disability works. So it's unfortunate, but we all go through it. Brandon, in a nutshell, what are some current projects you're working on? Anything exciting for you coming up?
Coming up, well, I do want to set up like I mentioned before, I do want to set up a round table where we kind of talk about anime characters, the anime or cartoon characters that can motivate us and how it can motivate people. So I want to do that. I have a couple of friends that are down to do it. I
Yeah, I'd
would
be up
just want
for
to
it.
know if
Just give me a time. You give me a time in a day, and we could definitely coordinate that.
yeah. So and I know how to, yeah. And you're one of the main ones I want to have on there, but it's like so difficult to track down because you're
Yeah,
like thinking
I
Bill
know.
Gates, you're all over the place, and I was
Yeah.
gonna say Elon Musk, but we don't like that man. But
No, no, no. Yeah,
no,
yeah. He's a bit of a. I don't want to say any detail, but he's odd at times.
Bad people. But yeah,
Yeah,
no. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's something that I wanna do. I'm working on. I'm going. I want to within the next couple of days. I don't know if you've kept up with. I'm also doing this series called Cerebral Solos, where I kind of like talk about more about myself and
Yeah, that's right. I've
part
seen
and
that.
I
You just share your story. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
awesome.
and I'm gonna be draw and I want to record part two within the next couple of days. The reason I've been putting it off it's because it's more on it's more on the negative side, and
Okay.
trying to like delve deep into those emotions would be um I don't want to say I think the reason I've been putting it off is because I want to do it because I want to share like how like mentally like several palsy has affected me negatively, but at the same time I don't want to deal with those emotions, so I've kind of like been putting it off. But I know I need to do it because once I put that out, I know it'll help someone. So
Right.
that's
Yeah,
another thing.
yeah. Put it
That's
out there
another thing I
because
want to work
you
on.
never know how many people you might touch with it, and they might say, you know what, I can relate to that. And I want to listen more about this person. And like I
Yes,
said, it leads to opportunities. You put yourself out there, it could lead to something special.
yeah, for sure. And another thing, and one of the other things I'm also working on is I'm working on setting up an interview with a friend of mine, Jesus, that I met him at the gym I work out at. The gym I work out at and the gym I work at are two completely different gyms. Everybody's like, "Well, why do you still have the membership to that gym?" Well, that specific gym that I work out at has different machines than the gym I work at, so I keep both memberships so I can hop back and forth. But I met him at the first gym I started working out at, and he works at the gym I work, and he used to work at the gym I work at, and he just got rehired. And every time he sees me, he's like, you're a blessing. You're a blessing to everybody. You motivate. You don't realize. I know you probably don't realize it sometimes, but you're always motivating someone.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and
I,
of course that's all true. I wouldn't doubt it at all. What he's saying is absolutely true. You are you are a trailblazer to some people out there. You motivate people to want to do what they're pursuing. And obviously he's saying everything correctly, and it's absolutely right.
yeah, for sure. So to go a little bit off topic, I don't know. Have you? I don't know if you've seen X-Men '97
Oof,
at
it's been
all,
ages.
but no, I'm talking about the show
Mhm.
that just came out on Disney Plus not too long
Oh
ago.
no, I haven't seen it yet. They have it out there?
Yes, all the episodes came out. It is amazing. It is amazing, and it is a and every episode has like a quote in it that I was just like, I gotta write these down. I gotta write these down. These are too good. So and I wanted to get your thoughts on on this quote specifically. And where is it? Oh yeah, and this quote specifically, this is the first quote I wrote down, and Nightcrawler actually said. Once he said it, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And the quote, I think it was either Nightcrawler or somebody said it in the show. I don't remember who, but they said, "What is new, the old should never be invited to." So I wanted to get your thoughts on that quote and what you think that means.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea what that means. I
Neither do I, but I wanted to know if you could
have
kind of
no
like
idea what that means at
understand
all.
it. All right. So then another one that I found off of Twitter, I saw off of Twitter from one of the YouTubers I follow. He um he ended up tweeting he ended up tweeting never beg for a seat when you can build your own table. And I thought that was
That
really
makes sense.
interesting
Yeah.
because not just because we have disabilities, but like people in general, we fight so hard to want to fit in and want to be part of the in crowd. It's like, why not just go ahead and find your own lane
Right.
and do it
Find
that
your own
way.
path, to
Yeah,
success. Your own path to your goal, your own path in life. You don't necessarily have to mirror someone. It's like these athletes that you see, like LeBron James and Bronny. Everybody's expecting Bronny to be like LeBron James, but Bronny just wants to be Bronny. He doesn't want to be known LeBron James, but unfortunately, he always has to live with that shadow of his dad.
yeah, and yeah. I'm not gonna get too deep into that because we'll be here for 50,000 hours, and
All
I don't want to.
right.
Yeah, we'll be here for 50,000 hours because
We'll,
I
we'll
have
save
I have
that. We'll
my
save it for a third episode.
yeah, because I have my thoughts on the whole Bronny situation, but yeah. So I don't know how long you want to keep this going, but I
Well,
do have a um. No, go ahead.
Brandon. I mean, well, I definitely have appreciated you being on today, like being on the podcast and going on to these different topics. Like it's always good to have you on, and you always have a lot of insight and a lot of information to share with the audience. And hopefully, we'll do a third episode at some point to go into more topics. And
Yes,
and
for sure.
thank you, man. Really, really
Yeah,
appreciate it. Keep being you
yeah,
and
because
keep doing
I
you like
wanted to
always.
because yeah, because for sure I wanted to bring up another topic, but then I'm like, damn, if we bring up another topic, we're like going, and I don't want to keep you from doing it because I know you're a busy man, and I don't want you to feel like, oh my god, are you still talking? It's in like 3 hours, and
Oh no, not at
I
all, not at all. I mean, we can always do a third episode. That way we have more content, and we can get you back on here, man.
for
Break it down,
sure,
break it into parts. All right,
yeah,
man.
for
So,
sure.
uh, as far as you guys wanting to find Brandon, you can definitely check him out here on the podcast. I'm gonna definitely link up his channel on the description. Cerebral conversations. Excuse me. And if you guys want to check out this episode, you're going to find it on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and every other major podcasting outlet out there. As always, you guys stay safe, stay blessed, and until next time. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you, brother.
No, no problem, no problem. You're welcome. Thanks again for having me on. Drink water. If you want to follow
Right.
me on Instagram, I'll send him all the links and I'll send them all the links to my social media and stuff. So if you want to follow me on those, you can follow me on those. And again, thank you for again. It's always an honor to be on here and speak to you because I know sometimes we speak off of it and we have little conversations here and there, but it's definitely good,
To catch up.
have it recorded.
Yeah, right. And it's always good to be able to share some knowledge. So thank you again, Brandon.
You're welcome.